And hello and good morning. I'm David Boles. This is Boles.tv. Here we go. Got a little bit of Soylent on my shoulders this morning. And we are live, coming to you from the East Corridor of the United States of America. The Tri-State New York City area. And we are here with you live Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. And it's a dreary day in London town, as they say. It's May the 4th. May the 4th be with you. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. But right now, it's rainy, dreary, ugly days. Everyone just goes like this on days like this. Yesterday, it was sort of warm, but no sun. But when it's clear skies, sun, and warmth, people just blossom. They pep up. But not on a day like this. This is a rough day. So I'm wearing my Soylent shirt. Why are you wearing a Soylent shirt? Well, I've had a lot of Soylent shirts over the years. And we've been, Jenna and I, a fan of Soylent for about 4 years. And we order others, Huel and all Orgain, Own. We like meal replacements, we like protein drinks. They're all vegan, they're all healthy for you. And Soylent is really the first one that came out in powder form with a way to meal replace with lots of protein that was vegan and safe. So we've been a fan for a long time. And then the head guy who invented Soylent left and was replaced by someone who was not as passionate. And then we kind of went away from it for a while. And now we've come around back a little bit, looking at it, tasting it, rediscovering it. And I've learned that if you're going to order anything from any of these big companies, and you're ordering RTDs, the ready-to-drinks, order them, 2 boxes at a time, which is about 12 drinks per box. Even if you're drinking like 8 boxes a month, do it in 2s. Because 2s, they seem to be able to handle. Any more order over than 2, and they start putting it in the wrong size box. It gets to be very heavy. The delivery people tend to drop it, and the stuff tends to leak. And most companies, if it leaks and you send them photographs of a soaked box with their product, will replace it immediately. But not Soylent. We ordered 4 boxes from them. 1 box exploded. 3 Soylents all over the place for about 3 days in a truck, a hot truck. Arrived, dripping. Took photographs, sent them. What was the lot number? I don't know the lot number, but you better know the lot number because you have to do recalls. You should know where your product's being sent. So I said, I don't have the lot number. It leaked over everything. I threw the whole thing away because even though there were things that were unopened, there was still this sickly smell of Soylent everywhere. Rotten Soylent. And I wasn't asking them to replace the whole thing, just, replace the damaged box with the exploded bottles. Can you at least do that? They don't even reply. And then about 2 weeks after that happened, where I'm still boiling just a bit, I get an email from Soylent saying, hey, and I shared it with you here. Hey, we're Soylent. And they've always been Soylent, and everyone knew what Soylent mean. And they would always say, oh no, it's Soylent, soy and lentils. Soy, put together, Soylent. Aren't we funny? But everyone knew they were referring to the 1970s movie starring Charlton Heston, Soylent Green. And that was the big joke of everybody who got into Soylent. Oh, we're drinking people. Because that was the big finale of the movie. And this is what the movie looked like in promotional form. Soylent Green. And it was really sort of a horror movie. because there were too many people in the world, and so in order to feed the rest of the world, which didn't have enough food, they were grinding up people and making them into little tiny, like, pills that were green that they would then feed to people, and they'd be healthy. And at the end of the movie, there's that big scene with Charlton Heston where he discovers what's really happening. And he says those famous words, "Soylent Green is people. People." A wonderful moment. Iconic. Sort of ridiculous. But at the time, when the movie was out, talking about the earth, talking about sustainable resources, talking about feeding people, finding out that this miracle feeding pellet was actually made of people was in its own way sort of terrifying. And then it has been popular in popular culture ever since. The Simpsons had the whole thing with the aliens, how to prepare a man, how to cook a man, eat a man, how to prepare a man. Oh, it's a cookbook. It's a cookbook. It all started with Soylent Green. And people like me and other people who drink Soylent say, why don't you just call it, for fun, Soylent Green? And maybe there were reasons they couldn't for trademark purposes, but they never really wanted to own the idea that actually that Soylent was inspired by Soylent Green. This is collecting the people to make them into pellets. And so I, of course, have always historically run with this idea that Soylent Green is PayPal. So imagine my delight, after being very upset with them for not replacing the damaged bottles, that I get this email saying, hey, we have a whole new flavor coming out. And we're calling it Soylent Green. Oh my God! It was like after 4 years, prayers were answered, miracles happened, dogs and cats living together, and they had this promotional thing that you could get a t-shirt in their new bundle. You can get 12 of these, which is their mint chocolate drink. It's the only green one they have, right? But okay. Not the same color green. But okay, they're trying. And in the bundle, you could get, as I said, this t-shirt, which I'm holding up. This is Jana Marie's t-shirt. We had to order 2 bundles. Because when you're in a competitive family, and there's only one fun thing, there's no sharing. Because we like to be twins. So we tend to order 2 of everything so we can go out in the world and twin. And there's a woman who works in our building who sees our Nebraska matching football shirts. And she has had a little bit of a rough life, and she says, relationship goals. And I said, what? Relationship goals. You two, twins, same thing, man, wife, going out in the world, same shirt, relationship goal. Which I thought was kind of funny. So imagine what she's going to think when she sees our Soylent shirt. Oh, she's going to be jealous of that. Because this is really from the movie. Because people are being sucked into the grinder to become food for other people. Soylent Green is people. People. And they almost get this right. As good as humanly possible. Not humanely possible, humanly possible. Now the joke is not this, human. The joke is people. But I know they're scared of it. And the big thing is this. When you order the bundle, or you can order these individually, but you can only get the t-shirt if you get the bundle. I don't care about this. I really don't care about this. I want this. I'll take the shirt. So this is like the whole point of it all, I guess. And I paid for this. This is not sent for me for free for PR. I'm getting nothing out of this. Oh, there it is. Okay, Soylent Green. People! It's people! All right, so I have to turn this around because I can't see it. 6 grams of plant protein, gluten-free vegan, 39 essential nutrients, and 100 calories. Now, these are these Soylent squares, I believe is what they call them. And they're tiny. And they have caramel, I believe they have strawberry, they have chocolat, brownie, something, something, something. And they're very good. And they have protein. And they taste like candy. Like, I've said Starburst candies. Some people say that's too sweet, they don't like it. It's good, but they're expensive. Gordon is here, hip to be square. And isn't it lovely that Gordon's name, live, is green? When I see it in chat, it's red. The colors change every day. I have no control over this. But Gordon, when he speaks, is green. It's perfect for the Green Day. So this is really the point of their new thing, which makes me think slightly that they might be in a little bit of trouble because they're now finally, after 4 to 5 years, owning their history of being Soylent Green. And people have said to make a green drink. This is not a green drink. This is a chocolate drink with mint in it. Close enough. It would be much more fun if it were green. People say make a green apple drink and make it green. For years, people have been saying that. And Soylent just kind of laughs. Oh, we're not people. So this is what a Soylent square looks like. Okay, they're very tiny. This is not your father's protein bar. I like the packaging. It's very black, it's green, it's funny. And then you open it. And this is what it looks like. Not really appealing. And if you're going to be gross about it, on point about it, you could say, there's a toenail, there's Jenny's eyebrow, Golan, David Desku's tooth is in here, because Golan is not a real person. Or at least he didn't used to be until Soylent Green. And then you eat it. And it's a little crunchy. There's bits of people on there are crunchy. Like Rice Krispie Crunchy. And the taste is indescribable. If someone were ruder, they might say it tastes like toes. I'm not into toes, so I don't know. Others might say it tastes like licking an underarm. I'm not into that either, so I wouldn't know. I couldn't say that. But the taste is really oddly indescribable. It's sort of a mixture to me of fresh mown grass and moss, and maybe just a little bit of green apple. Now, Jana Marie had one of these yesterday, and I said, how would you describe the taste? She looked at me like, what do you mean? It doesn't taste like anything. I said, I know, but if you had to describe the taste to someone who wasn't eating, what would you say? She says, barely green apple. There you go. Soylent Green. Not people. Barely green apple. Well, now the next fun part of this is in that promotional email they sent, down at the very bottom. It said, hey, when you get your bundle, This is Jana Marie's. I'm borrowing it. She is shirtless right now, which is a lot of fun. They said, go on social media, send Soylent a message describing the taste of the new bar. Now, when I originally saw it, and I thought they wanted a new slogan, so I have been thinking about a slogan for the 2 weeks that's taken for this to get here. But they wanted describing, obviously, the taste. But they don't say taste. They say describe the new bar or square, or whatever they're calling it. So this morning I did. I took photographs, and then you had to put a hashtag, Soylent something something, but I'll show you what I did. And then Jana Marie replied, and then I replied. And we've had a wonderful day of just being silly, because that's what the Tuesdays are for. So this is what I sent this morning. Hey, Soylent, here's my official entry into the flavor description of your new Soylent Green product. Both bundles arrived yesterday! Exclamation point. Soylent Green. We just don't quite taste of people anymore. And then the hashtag, Soylent goes green. Now, I could have said it doesn't taste like toes. It almost tastes like licking an armpit, but I didn't. Because I do have some class. No taste, but a little bit of class. And the lovely Jana Marie, my super follower, replied saying, the taste of the new bars is really wild. Hard to describe, but I think you put your tongue on it. It's on us, maybe, the tongue. I'm glad Soylent are finally owning their cultural heritage. True. Own the freaking movie, man. People. And I replied to her, yes. The body taste temptation is strong in the new Soylent Green bundle. Here's another slogan for the good people of Soylent. Soylent Green, the only protein bar that bites you back. We thank you. Hashtag Soylent goes green. So that's been our day. Celebrating Soylent. I did have one of these this morning. 400 calories, 20 grams of protein, soy protein. No problem with soy protein. So I'd be authentic in my presentation today. I did eat one of these bars and a bite of another. I probably won't have another bite of this, but I'm going to try to feed it to a monster who's not wearing her shirt right now as I take a break, because the next thing I'm going to get into is a little longer, and I don't have time before the automatic break hits me. Proactivity right here on Boles.tv. Back in a minute. Then we are back from break. This is BOLES.TV, Boles.TV. And I don't know why our Scriptly thing looks like this when we go to intermission, where it just says loading. Now, that's not a Scriptly problem. That's not my problem, although everything is my problem. This is a Discord problem. This thing does not load. It should be loading, but it's not loading. I don't know why. So, I guess we'll see on our next break if it's still that way, because usually it's not that way. It has some text to it. So there's all this, what I call rigmarole now, over the shocking, who knew? Supreme Court takedown of Roe v. Wade. Not constitutional. Now, what is constitutional? As I'm reading, people say, well, what does that have to do with anything? And as I was taught, the main line in the Constitution is, in order to form a more perfect union. And that is the inspiration that is always made for providing for the social welfare, for forward-thinking people who know that the Constitution is a breathable thing and not something that's just stuck there forever. In order to form a more perfect union. Not the perfect union. We don't have it. It's not great yet. And back then it was a bunch of white men making decisions for women, and women could not even vote. So to say that abortion is not a constitutional right is ridiculous. And the way it was set up is it is a constitutional right because it's the right to privacy. So they're going to go after privacy next. And that's their plan. They're not hiding it. It's out in the open. And so what do liberals, some independents, Democrats, what do when they get upset? They don't play the Republican game. The Republicans know they're in the minority, and so they fight dirty. They plan. They aim for the long term. And they're very, very effective. Democrats like to protest. Democrats like to march. We're going to show them by going in the streets. And the conservatives, I think, are just staying at home, watching from windows and laughing. Look at those silly people in the street, all angry about nothing. Because marching doesn't do any good. Voting does good. Getting the right representation does good. Gordon says it's so telling how many Republicans are mainly complaining that there was a leak, not what the leak was about. Yes, it's very telling, especially since what Empty Wheel said yesterday, that she strongly believes that the leak came from John Roberts. And I believe that's absolutely where it came from. Because who was the first person? Right? The first law of farting in a room is to say nothing. Because if you say, do you smell that? What's the old playground joke? He who smelt it dealt it. John Roberts right away. Oh my gosh, there's been a leak at the Supreme Court. I'm going to open an investigation into myself. I don't know who could have done this. I'm John Roberts. This is my court. I'll find out who did it, and I'll punish them within an inch of the law. And Marcy Wheeler on her blog yesterday said that's exactly probably why he did do it. Because it's too radical, it's too out there, and it's his court. It's his reputation, it's his legacy. He does not want his legacy to be taken over by these radical Trump appointees. It makes the most sense. And the fact that he so quickly said that he was going to lead the investigation. Oh boy. I didn't do it. Well, I'll find out who did, but it's not me. I didn't deal it. I'm smelling it, but I didn't deal it. Mm-hmm. And meanwhile, there's no outrage over Ginny Thomas and how she's affected the court. And John Roberts knows that if the court becomes a joke, and it already is, That is going to be very, very problematic because the court has always been the final stop. You go there, you get the decision, and we move on. And people are now not going to move on if the Supreme Court is unjust. If the Supreme Court starts undoing all these rights and responsibilities we've had for the last 50 years. But again, the Democrats, are they out there fighting the same dirty, filthy way that Republicans fight? Is there an equal thing called the Federalist Society? And some people would say, yeah, it's the American Bar Society. But the Federalist Society is very strong and very well positioned. So Jana Marie was in Washington Square area yesterday, New York City, and she saw this protest. And she was kind of behind the protest. And now I have to make some changes so you can hear this. So I have to stop the music. I have to turn up the music so you can hear the chanting in the streets. And this is a small group. And you're kind of, okay, abortion rights, SCOTUS, okay. And then you get to the very end of the video. And there's this weird banner that they're carrying about socialism and protect socialism. And I'm thinking, what does that have to do with this? Is this some kind of boondoggle where the socialists are trying to attach themselves to protesting in the street? I don't know. But it's still very interesting and quite curious. So that is the video. Fighting for justice. What was it? Joint socialism? I don't understand it. I don't get it. But I accept that they're out there and they're protesting and they're having a wonderful time, I guess. And I'm sure they all will go home later and say, oh, wasn't that great? You know, we were in the street, we were protesting. They were singing and chanting and we were echoing. It was a call and answer. And, you know, I think it's going to change the Supreme Court. I mean, it shocks reality because that's not how these things work. The conservatives are going to eat these people alive. Gordon says, I'm guessing they are people, the mighty, mighty people, fighting for justice. And now we know who they are. Well, there you go. Good job, mighty, mighty people. I mean, what you got to do is you got to get the right people who have the power to vote. That's what you have to do. You have to be terrified of these midterms. You have to be terrified of 2024, and I don't think enough people are. People are upset, people are complaining, but that's not going to change anything. You have to, and if you can't go out, run for office yourself, send money to the people that you believe in so they can fight this big power money that's coming into our political lives day after day. Which leads me to my next very interesting article. The Supreme Court is a tool of tyrants. Posted this morning at 8 a.m. by Sarah Jones. She's a wonderful, wonderful writer. And I'm not going to read you the whole thing. In New York Magazine. But here's some of it, because it's just wonderful insight. The right's long war to ban abortion in the United States may be nearing its conclusion. And we knew that when Trump was elected. And now people are going back and saying, see, especially on Twitter. I mean, it's all about the blame game. See, Hillary. We needed her. And then blaming Bernie and blaming Susan Sarandon and blaming all these other people who would not support Hillary. They were supporting Bernie and not Hillary. Well, Hillary was a bad candidate. Whatever she said, the basket of deplorables, I'm your abuela, just awful. She would have been a great president, but a terrible candidate. Which was sort of the opposite of Barack Obama. Fabulous candidate, so-so president. He really blew it, just like Biden's blowing it. The draft opinion authored by Justice Samuel Alito argues that a right to abortion is not deeply rooted in the nation's history and traditions. Women should not fear, he asserts later, because they are not without electoral or political power. This is thin comfort. Pro-choice women can influence their fates through direct action, by breaking unjust laws or by filling streets in defense of their bodies. Okay, doesn't mean anything, but go ahead and do it. Electorally, however, their powers are limited by the influence of anti-democratic conservative movement. Well, there you go. That's the whole point of it. And this is also very interesting what she says here. It is not enough to urge voters to turn out in November, as prominent Democrats, including President Joe Biden, have suggested. The suggestion is an insult. Pro-choice women have voted and run for office and done all the party has asked them to do. Absolutely true. Now is the time for action, such as promising to expand the size of the court. Never happen. And pack it with like-minded jurists. Won't happen. It's too late. The likely ruling in Dobbs should also make liberals consider reducing opportunities for judicial review, which limits the power of the vote by making its legislative outcomes subject to the opinions of an unelected court majority. And she said something else that was very interesting about where all of this is coming from. This was it. Very interesting. What is happening inside the Supreme Court is not the triumph of the American people, but rather the success of well-funded minoritarian faction. And I did a Human Being podcast about this. That protecting the rights of the minority that is being protected in the United States, is not the racial minority, but the financial minority. Protecting the 1%. That is the minority that is in need of protecting, according to the politicians. And they are protecting them. And the tyranny of the minority is not what's going on in the streets, it's what's going up in the clouds, in the boardrooms. The tyranny of the 1%ers against the rest of us. The battle for abortion pits the electoral and political power of a pro-choice majority against that of conservative elites. And it's easy to see who's winning. Conservatives have forced their attention and ire on the leaked opinion because they view it as a crime committed against them. Meet John Roberts. The court is theirs, Anyone who violates its sanctity is an enemy. The possibility that the leaker might be a conservative does not change that basic calculus. Anti-abortion activists have discovered that, with enough elite power at their disposal, they can comfortably ignore the wishes of the people. Their stance on abortion predisposes them to a tyrannical form of politics. If abortion kills a human being, then public opinion does not matter. In fact, to defer to the public is to become complicit in mass murder. Welcome to your life. Now, speaking of New York City yesterday, the wonderful Jana Marie also found this lucky fun happenstance in Washington Square Park. 2 tap dancers. Now, there's a technical problem with this. There's no sound. We don't know what happened, but we have music playing. It's not tap dancing music, but it's about a minute, so I'm going to play it for you anyway, because it's really quite lovely, and she's thinking about going back today. This is Isaiah, and they like to have tips. So she's going to go back and tip tomorrow because she was on her way to class and she didn't have any cash on her. We live in a cashless society, so I feel sorry for these street performers who rely on tips that people don't get. Some of these performers say, hey, here's my Venmo, which is very smart because I think they get more money that way. And there's this other fellow who was very good too, who performed after she did this because she didn't want to record the whole thing and not give them something. She got permission first. And then when she stopped filming, the other guy took over and was really good too. And then they danced together, and it was this whole wonderful tap dance routine. It was just beautiful. But maybe we'll have sound if she's able to get back there and find them again. She says she sees them every once in a while. And they were very popular. People were very supportive. It was a wonderful moment. Today is May the 4th. May the 4th be with you. Luke. So, it's May the 4th, which is sort of silly, but also kind of fun. It's not Cinco de Mayo. It's May the 4th. That's a Star Wars thing. May the Force be with you. May the 4th be with you. So this is the Star Wars homepage explaining what it means when the 4th is with you. Like anything that emerges from the collective passion of a group of people, the Star Wars fan holiday, May the 4th, each year has no single point of origin. It has no official commencement year, no formal dedication. It is a grassroots phenomenon that transcends the English language pun that inspired it. Around the world, May the 4th be with you, is more ubiquitously known as Star Wars Day. So, it's a PR thing, I guess. And Star Wars, when it first came out, it was a cultural phenomenon. Now it's become very, as they say, politically correct. Before, it was an interesting story about religion. And I remember going to my Methodist community church, and there was an entire pastoral lecture about how Star Wars was really the story of Jesus Christ. And they had broken it all down and pinned it all down. And I thought the whole thing was really ridiculous. But boy, did people in the audience wake up and pay attention to that story. And every character was this person in the Bible, and on and on and on and on. But here's where it gets really fun. Royal Selangor is a very interesting website where they sort of make tchotchkes of popular things. They also make quite wonderful chessboards. Hey, Mr. Gordon. 19 years ago, in a galaxy far, far away, when I, as a young lad, was living in Monsey. And Monsey is a strict Jewish community, and Gordon will connect me if I'm wrong about that. I had a friend who, for months leading up to May 4, had been telling me at least once a week, I have a joke that I'm going to tell you on May 4th. But it only works on that day. And so I was looking forward to it so much. Ooh, a joke. Finally, May 4th arrived, and I asked him to tell me the joke. And he said, "May the 4th be with you." I laughed all the way out loud for a few minutes. So long that he said, "Wow, it's not that funny." That's a lovely story. And it is funny. But very hearing, as Janet would say, because it's a trick on the ear between force and fourth. So if you're looking for some interesting, neat stuff, May the 4th be with you, you get 15% off on their website. And I have to say, they have some really interesting stuff that you can buy. And this is, as they say on Reddit, mall ninja stuff. But it's still authentic, interesting, if you're into that kind of thing. They really like action figures and little statuettes. And it's clearly popular because, as you can see, they have a lot of them. Limited edition. Gilt Obi-Wan figurine. $870. I don't know how big it is. I could click on it and see if it says, and I guess I will. Oh, the clicking's not working. Maybe I have to go. Oh, there it is. Probably very popular because we're on the right web. Oh, it moves around. Because we're on the right website. Drag to spin. Young Padawan. Oh, there we go. Okay. There are 300 of them. So that's good. They're making exclusivity. Okay, I get it. But how big is it? 16 centimeters by 9.5 centimeters. I don't know how big that is, but it sounds small. I would want it to be 2 feet by 3 feet. I don't think that's how big it is. But it is 24 karat gilded. And it's official from Star Wars, which is important to collectors. They want to make sure they're collecting something that is approved by the man. C-3PO, $690. I never really understood why C-3PO was so popular. Because he's such a complainer about everything. He's no fun. R2-D2 is much more fun. Young Yoda. Oh, on sale. $93 down from $110. Yoda's not doing very well, Baby Yoda. Ooh, a Mandalorian. It's going to cost you $900. Ooh. Vader, $820. But I have to say, I like Star Wars. I have studied this company's stuff up close. It's very high quality. If you decided you wanted this for this price, you would not be disappointed. Gordon says, that's why he's so popular. People relate to having someone whiny in their lives. Ugh. Of course, they don't realize they're the complainer in someone's life. Exactly. I just like when he starts speaking and, oh, no. There he is, R2-D2. The canister. Oh, look at that. It's a little thing. You can store stuff in it. Utilitarian. I like it. I also like the Death Star. I think it's a wonderful idea. Just imagine if it had been used for good instead of destroying planets. And there's always a problem. When the bad guys are more interesting than the good guys. People tend to cheer for the bad guy instead of the good guy. Which is always a challenge when you're trying to create a compelling story. Gordon says, we have an R2-D2 popcorn bucket. Oh, I love that. Perfectly appropriate for all movies. Oh, here we go. Princess Leia. And it's so interesting how young boys, especially, even today, are taken by this bikini that she wears. It's become an institutional icon. And Carrie Fisher, who was very straightforward about everything. When she appears in the original Star Wars with her beautiful white gown on, she is very clearly not wearing anything underneath it, like a bra. And she went to George Lucas and said, why do I have to be bare-breasted under this thing? And people can see through it and see, why can't I wear a bra? And George Lucas said to her with a straight face, women won't need bras in the future because gravity will naturally lift their breasts. And she laughed in his face. And she said, it's not really about that. It's about support and about the health and covering up things. And he knew what he was doing. So he had to explain it to her in a way that made sense in his mind because he knew what young boys wanted to look at. So she did it anyway. But sort of a disappointing story and all, knowing that it was all sort of viciously planned and executed. So we as young kids in 1977 could get a hot look at a hot girl. And now we're going to take a very brief blood pressure break. We will return in a moment. And we are back from break. Uh-oh, what was that? Some weird sound. I think it's my balloons hitting my metal thing back here. Well, we're back from break. It's still raining, drearing in New York City, so we are sunshine and happiness here today on Boles.tv. That's BOLES.tv. Coming to you live Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Not sponsored by Soylent Green. It's like eating a hangnail. So just to finish the story about Carrie Fisher and the no bras in the future, she then said to George Lucas, okay, so women don't wear bras in the future because gravity holds up their boobs. So everywhere we go in the future, we have gravity somehow, right? I mean, we're not floating in the scenes, right? So why does it only affect women's boobs? And there, of course, there's no answer because it's just complete ridiculousness. And George Lucas was an 11-year-old boy making a movie. Yesterday, we had an interesting conversation, I think it was yesterday, about people who think that your email address is their email address. And Gordon and I both shared our own horror stories of people using our original, OG as the kids say, original gangster, Gmail email addresses as their email addresses. Gordon says he could have very well said, because I like the boobies, the breasts, and I sign your check. Maybe he's trying to be polite. Well, I guess that is kind of what he said. But she was so fiery, she wouldn't let it go. That was so great about Carrie Fisher. She was fun in that movie. She was not like other princesses that came before her or after her. She broke every mold and tradition that we had. And we get very alarming emails from people, from lawyers, from doctors, from hospitals, from car dealerships, even banking stuff. And it's like, what am I supposed to do with this? It's not me. And Gordon said he has the same problem. And as luck and fortune would have it, Gordon sent me this last night. Here we go again. Now, if this were on Reddit, before we even start, if this were posted to Reddit, it would be posted in the Charge Your Phone subreddit because of this. Oh, the monster has awakened in the other room. I think she's putting on her shirt and finishing her finger bar and dropping things along the way. They would say, charge your phone. And there are people who find these images of people who post stuff online, and there's no battery on their phone. And people say, why are people not charging their phones? And they're taking screenshots of conversations that they're having. It's very funny. So Gordon sent me this. Hey, Gordon. Brown and I apologize for missing the rehearsal tonight. We were tied up in a very important meeting until 6 and we're exhausted. Actually, we decided not to join the choir and to bring the music back. May is a crowded month, with 7 birthdays and Mother's Day and 2 wedding anniversaries. June is almost as busy, Gordon. With a wedding and 4 birthdays, Gordon. After reading your description of the choir, it sounded like we'd be singing a lot simpler music, Gordon. What do you mean about this gravity in the future, Gordon? We'll look forward to hearing the choir on Memorial Day. Thanks. Hey, thanks, Gordon. Gordon, thanks, hey, for taking the time to introduce us last Tuesday. Evelyn and Brown. Well, how dare he? How dare that Gordon Obviously a troublemaker. Obviously ruining people's lives. And the best part is, or the worst part is, it's not our Gordon. Not our Commissioner Gordon. No, 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 no. This was sent to our Gordon, but it was meant for a different Gordon. And that's how this works. And you're dealing with this mentality. Charge your phone. And this is not out of the realm of what Gordon and I get on almost a daily basis from people that we don't know. Accusing us of things. Why have you done this? Who do you think you are? You're late on your loan payment. Change your cellular plan immediately. And what are you supposed to do? Now, Gordon could have fun with this and write back and say, well, you know, I never liked you in the first place. Why don't you come over right now and see what happens? And bring your gun, right? And unfortunately, you know, it's funny. I think it's funny. But the people would bring their gun and say, oh, you told me to bring my gun. I'm going to show it to you. And then you try to contact these people who it's really intended for if you have an idea, and they get all upset with you. Why are you reading my messages? The real Gordon says, I will always let my phone go to about 1% and then plug it in. I'm still with that mentality that you shouldn't plug in the phone too many times to not reduce the life of the battery. Now that is old thinking. The new thinking is, with these lithium batteries, they do not like to be exercised like that. It actually ruins the life of the battery. You take it down to 30%, 20%, charge it, go to 90%, 95%, unplug it. They don't ever want to go all the way full. They don't want to ever go all the way down. And now, like Apple, other places have figured out, okay, people are not aware of how to handle their batteries, so we will do it for them. And they call it smart battery or whatever, and you plug it in. Even the laptops have it now, where it will manage the life of your battery for you. And I've noticed on my new Dell laptop that it goes up to about 90% charging, and then the battery will go down to about 33% and stay there for a little bit, and then it will pop back up. It goes in between. They don't want the extremes. And I like it that they just say, look, would you like us to turn on your battery saver so we can manage your battery for you? And the answer is, please do. It's very helpful. Now, yesterday, we also talked about our friend Sabet. Our former friend Sabet. And how he chose to kick me off of his Discord server. And as you can see behind me when we go on break, I usually have my ugly kitty back there. I've removed it. I had an ugly kitty up there and two over here. They're all gone. Not in protest, but just in doing the right thing. That if he's going to kick me off his Discord server, I'm not going to be celebrating him passively or actively in my online life. And I'm going to dedicate myself to discovering new and interesting young, not necessarily young, amateur doesn't mean young, amateur NFT artists and celebrate them instead. But some people who I interact with, who are young, not young, amateur, getting started, they sell their NFT artwork for $90, which to me is higher quality than some of the established artists who sell the same sort of thing for $3,000. So they're trying to get up there. And so a couple of them, three of them in our group, I said, yeah, hey, if you want the link to my breakup with Sabet, go here. And every single one of them, privately, in a message to me, a DM message to me, said, that Sabet is an a-hole. What? I've been celebrating him for 3 months. I didn't know. And they go on to tell me stories about who he thinks he is and how I asked him for help and he wouldn't help me. Now, I know other people who very successful people who have said, oh, he's helped me. But I guess that's not always true. Gordon says Gary Vaynerchuk does some pretty peculiar looking NFTs for a lot of money. Yeah, there's a guy named Xcode who does these, I'll show you one, who does these weird animation things that I think are really ugly and ridiculous. And he makes 8,000 of them. I told this story, yeah, he makes 8,000 of them, but doesn't sell them one of 8,000. He puts up 8,000 versions of it, so they're all one of ones, but they're all exactly the same thing. But you can say it's a one of one, because it is. It's not one of 8,000, even though it is. But technically it's not. And he sold out 8,000 at 3,000 in 45 minutes. And I believe we did the math at the time that he made $24 million in 45 minutes. And so these other artists are saying, oh, this, and they're telling me these stories about what Sebet has said to them and done to them and blocked them, and that it's all arrogance, and he's, too successful, and we're so glad that you finally saw the light and who he is and what he really does. And I'm like, I didn't know. So I sort of feel that, okay, well, I guess I finally woke up and saw the light in my own eyes. So here we go. This is Xcopy. And how do I know about Xcopy? Well, I'll tell you, because Sebet is obsessed with Xcopy. Because Sebet, a couple of weeks ago, was complaining about Xcopy making $24 million in 45 minutes, where Sebet has to work hard for his money. He doesn't have people who follow him who will give him $24 million in 45 minutes. Hey, our friend. I think this is our friend. IGBA1 is now following, which is wonderful. I'm very happy to hear that. Our Russian friend, our Russian NFT friend, we celebrated him or her the other day. Here we go! Our friend is saying something. Now, our friend, male or female, I don't know, it doesn't matter, is saying hello. And we talk on our Discord server quite a lot. And our friend is Russian, and our friend says, look, what you say to me, I have to have translated, and then what I want to say to you, I have to have translated, and then I cut and paste it or whatever into my reply. So if the English isn't quite right, I apologize. If it takes me a while to put something up there, I apologize. And I said, hey, do what you got to do. I think it's great. And I invited our friend to this live show when we were going to talk, when we looked at his artwork, her artwork the other day. Said thank you on Twitter, wasn't here. I understand it's hard to communicate. But now our friend is here, following, talking about Xcopy. So Sebet is very jealous of Xcopy. And this is what his jealousy stems from. Because Sebet does draw beautiful things. And this is Xcopy. So this thing, this animated GIF, is selling for 3.95 Ethereum, which is, in today's current prices, 12 grand. One of 8,000. Now, see, Xcopy's smarting up, because Xcopy used to sell one of 20, one of 5,000, but it wasn't unique. People want to feel unique. They want to buy one of one. So Xcopy makes 8,000 individual saleable cells of this ridiculous animated whatever it is. It looks like a flaming coffee cup to me. But I guess it's a skull. I don't know what the thing coming out of the side of the head is. It looks like a handle. And Xcopy sells 8,000 to his followers for 1 Ethereum, and he says right at the beginning, I'm going to be releasing on this date. This is what it looks like. You get one of one for 1 Ethereum. See you on the flip-flop. And then he puts it up. People buy at 1 Ethereum. $3,000, and they're in. And then they resell it. See, they buy it 1 and they sell it 4. So these are not necessarily fans of Xcopy. These are people who want to turn a dime on Xcopy. So you go to the page, like, hey, what can I buy? What's available? And you get page after page after page after page after page of the same ugly thing. Now I guess you get a little bit of color. I guess the color raises the price. I don't get it. This I don't get either. Okay, sipping from a straw and making your eyes and your hair on fire. 8. What is that? $24,000. Now, if it was a 1 of 1, a true 1 of 1, $24,000, okay. But when it's 1 of 1 of 5,000, I don't understand the value of it. I don't understand the economics of it. It doesn't make sense to me. But you gotta give the guy credit. He knows what people want. He knows his price point. And people buy it. And Sabette doesn't understand it. And I don't understand it. So people are sort of cheering me on that I woke up and figured out what was going on with Sabette, whatever that means. I don't know. He can kick me off his server. He can do whatever he wants. And I can stop celebrating him if I want to. Overlord, this thing. Okay, eyeballs moving. It looks like very basic animation to me. 44 Ethereum. Which is how much money? 44 times 3 is, I think, $1 million. This would not go in the George Lucas Star Wars universe because it is slightly obliquely sort of erotic. Gordon says it's $132, which seems low to me, but I was never good at math. That's why the default answer for me for everything is $1 million. How much are those pants? $1 million or so. The shoes? $1 million. And some of these are kind of fun. You know, if these were cheaper, you know, $100, and you could, you know, it was one of 10,000, that's fun. But to charge these kind of prices for this. Oh, Gordon is clarifying. Gordon meant 44 times 3 is $132. Okay. It still sounds a little low, but I was never good at math. I'm messing with you, Gordon. $132,000 for an NFT? That's this. I admire Xcopy. He knows his people. I don't know how he found them. I don't even know who Xcopy is. But very, very, very successful. Whew. Just amazing stuff. And here's the mental work that Gordon did to get there. 40 times 3 is 120. Very easy, true. And 4 times 3 is 12. And 120 plus 12 is, well, you guessed it's 132. Math is fun. I agree. And I have learned that I always try to use tens, as you did, in trying to figure something out, and then working backward or forward from the answer that is based on a 10. And I've used that all my life, and usually I can be pretty quick. And now I realize that's considered the new math for kids. Everything's based on a 10. Your goal is to get to a 10 by either subtracting, adding, dividing, taking away. Find a 10, and then finish the math calculation, which I think is very smart. Like trying to figure out a tip. So start with 10%, right? And then if you want to leave a 20, 25% tip, then you go from there. You double the 10 or you double and then add half. It serves me well, but now we're talking about Ethereum prices because I just can't believe that people would pay that much money. But people pay millions of dollars for a Bored Ape, so I'm not one to judge. Now we're going to take a very brief break, come back, and then talk about the power of the color red, which I've been hoping to talk about for quite a while. But it's interesting and intriguing, and I want to make sure I have enough time to cover it. And now I do. We will return in one moment. And we are back from break. I'm David Boles. This is Boles.tv. BOLES.television. Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Eastern. So I was on break, and the monster has awakened. And the monster did apologize. Oh, I forgot you were doing your show. I didn't mean to drop everything. I said, it's okay. And she said, oh, before you go back, do you think you could get me a cup of coffee? And I said to the monster, I don't have time. Gordon's waiting for me. We're doing math together. And she said, Gordon will understand. I said, I don't think you know Gordon. Gordon builds fences. Gordon's very tough. I think it'll be okay. So I made her a cup of coffee. And I deposited the half-eaten Soylent Green earlier. Was she wearing the shirt? She thought she had a meeting. She put the shirt on, then she took the shirt off because she's going to wear the shirt during teaching tonight. And she didn't want to get it too dirty because she hasn't taken a shower yet. So the shirt was on, but I missed it. And I said, take a few of these to class tonight. And these are young kids. Just see if they say anything about your shirt and see if they say anything about this. And if they do, give them one because we have a lot of them. And she said, okay. She said, I don't think they'll know because it's an old movie. I don't know. We'll find out. Report back. And then I said, okay, so you ate this. This is your second one. I need a description other than a toenail. She said, there's a little bit of vanilla. There's a little bit of green apple. She said, but I don't concentrate on the flavor because it really doesn't have a flavor, which is great for a protein bar, right? But she said that the texture is so delicious. It's crunchy and has great mouthfeel. I said, great, we got a lot of them. We've got to get rid of them because I'm not eating them. And if I win the thing that I showed you on Twitter, if I win that, because I had the best description of their flavor, I get another box of these, and I think a $250 gift card to use on Soylent.com. So I'll order from them, and they'll deliver me something that's all wet. Gordon says if they use Facebook, they will have probably seen the ads from Soylent. Every single one, which has a dozen comments saying, I can't believe you named your company a product of a given movie. Well, that's good. That'll be even more fun. Because these are brand. The second they were available, I ordered mine and they were delivered yesterday. So I know that not a lot of people have these yet. And the packaging is very provocative. Black, green. And these squares that I've had before that taste like Starburst candies, they used to be very oily. And these are not. They fixed it. Now, when I was living in Nebraska, the whole idea is if you graduated, oh, my music just stopped. Now, that's not supposed to happen. They fixed it. It's not fixed. What happened? Go, go, go. As my neighbor says, oh, this is not looking good. Restart. And the idea is to escape out of Nebraska and go, to New York or California. And most of my friends went to California. And there was one successful local actress who had graduated from the university and decided to go to New York. And she went to New York. I think she lasted a week. And then she left and went out to California and got on a soap opera and was on that show for 5 years. And then she married a rich man, and she's been happy in California ever since. And she got all kinds of surgery, changed her face, her body. It was very sad. But can you blame her because she's rich and happy? But she said, a friend of hers said, why did you leave New York? And she said that she went into a coffee shop. And they said, what do you have? And she said, I'd like to have coffee, please. And they said, what kind of coffee? What do you want in it? This is 30 years ago. And she said, oh, regular. They said, okay. So they brought her a regular coffee, which was black coffee with milk and sugar. And she wanted black coffee. And they served it to her, and she, drank it and looked at them, and they looked at her, and she said, "This isn't a regular coffee." And they said, "Where are you from? That's a regular New York coffee." So she was upset. She left. "I don't fit in here. A regular coffee is a black coffee. New York is not for me." And she left. And when I was told that story, it's told reverently about her. And this was before she was successful. Like, oh, I can't believe that Crystal had to go through that. And I'm sitting there thinking, like, why is that a problem? Just say, "Look, I just moved here from Nebraska. I don't know what a regular coffee is. Can I have a black coffee?" And they would give her a black coffee. People search for reasons after the fact for why they do things. New York is a tough place, especially when you're from Nebraska, a small town. You're used to being the belle of the ball. And suddenly, people are giving you stuff you didn't want. You didn't ask for it. And so you get up and you leave. And you go to California, where you probably do fit in a little bit better. So today, in the New York Times, there was this wonderful New York story that reminded me of the story I just told you. "Dear Diary, a gas station convenience store, Staten Island, summer, the present," written like a play. "Tom, a man in his mid-50s, approaches the counter, where attendant, a man about 30 years younger, stands behind the cash register, staring at his cell phone. Tom takes out his wallet. Tom, $30, unleaded. Attendant, regular? Tom, it says unleaded. But I guess, yeah, regular. Attendant stares at Tom, who hands him 2 20s. Attendant rings up the sale. There used to be regular and unleaded. Now, when you say regular, you mean unleaded. Regular unleaded, as opposed to plus or premium, though it's marked unleaded on the pump. Regular back in the day, I suppose, was leaded, even if it didn't say so. A beat. You're too young to remember that. Tom starts toward the door, and the attendant says, change. Tom turns. Attendant reaches out a $10 bill. Tom takes it. Tom thanks. Lights fade. Now you could rewrite that scene as the black coffee, regular coffee scene. Now, to me, a regular coffee, even growing up in Nebraska, is not black coffee. Coffee black is black coffee. To me, a regular coffee would be cream and sugar. Which is why that story never made sense to me. Because if you misspoke, if you misunderstood something, New Yorkers deal with tourists all the time. Now you go into a local diner, maybe they're a little bit rougher, but if there's a mistake made or you're not happy, they'll fix it. It's not that big a deal. But don't tell that to Crystal. Oh boy. But then she ended up having success, so who can argue with that? So I'm going to finish the day with this story about Red. And it starts with our favorite monster in the other room, who has these beautiful vegan shoes. And they look like leather, but they're not. And they are bright, 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 bright red. And we like red. We're from Nebraska, big red. Huskers, University of Nebraska, red, 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 and white. And red is the color of blood, danger. Red is the color of a stop sign. Red is the color of a stoplight. Red means danger. And other things. So she has been wearing her new red shoes to work. And there are 2 and 3 people in the office who just happen to be black. And every time she wears her red shoes, they all individually and independently make an effort to come up to her and say, oh my gosh, oh, the red shoes. Gordon says, oh my word, this reminds me of being a child in the backseat of my mother's car and hearing her ask the gas station attendant, regular unleaded, fill her up please, like clockwork. Now that is weird because me growing up, regular was regular with lead. And then there was unleaded. Not even really diesel. And then later, when I was no longer driving a car, it's premium, super premium, premium unleaded with a little bit of lead. Ridiculous. So these people react to her red shoes like, like acting. Oh my God. Oh, the red shoes. Ooh, who do you think you are? Look at your shoes. Ah. This has happened like 3 times now. And she's just wondering, what is it about red shoes? And is there something weird, especially specifically about black culture, that has to do with not just the color red, but red shoes? And so we did a little bit of research together, and it seems like there might be some kind of correlation between people who wear red shoes in a certain community, black culture, whatever, that it's showing off. That you think you're above other people. That you think that your red shoes are saying that you have money. So your boss, your coworkers like, red, ew, is, I don't know, somehow supposed to humble you into not wearing the red shoes? Because if it's a culture thing and you're not a part of that culture, the reaction from other people, look at the shoes, it doesn't register. They're trying to send some kind of message without actually saying anything. Although they're saying everything by trying to embarrass you because of your red shoes. And there's red shoes in The Wizard of Oz. The red shoes is a famous story made into a musical, an opera. And so you just wonder where these memes come from. How are they made? And here's a story from Vogue. The enduring power and surprisingly dark symbolism of red shoes. 80 years after the release of The Wizard of Oz, red shoes are walking the AW19 runways. From Prada, Victoria, Beckham, all these people, 2019. Okay, red shoes. And Louboutins, right? They have a red sole. So you have to make sure you lift your foot so people can see the red sole of your red shoes. Because you're walking on money. I guess. Wizard of Oz, the red shoes. I had no idea that this was even a thing. And neither did the Jana Marie Sweetheart Monster, because who wants to be made fun of at work for wearing red shoes? Nobody. Oh, there are some red shoes from antiquity. I didn't notice anything. We have red tennis shoes that are from the University of Nebraska. Now, those shoes, I guess maybe because they're tennis shoes, don't get the same reaction as her beautiful red work professional looking shoes. So red is a very powerful color that creates very institutional reactions in some people. And I guess sometimes you just have to be brave and say, why are you covering your eyes with my red shoes? Here is a whole website called Red Shoe Movement. Shoe movement, we know there are various connotations, and the highlight is red. I don't set that. The website does. We know there are various connotations for red shoes in different areas and cultures. Let's discover together the mystery of the red shoes and their secret power. And you read, and it's like, what in the world? A history of red shoes? I know there's a blue pill and a red pill. I know there are red envelopes that you give to Asian people in the Chinese New Year that means wealth and happiness. A red door on your house, I guess, in feng shui or something, means you're successful and that you have money. The cultural and romantic significance of red shoes. What? Romance? Those are nice. Those are patent leather red shoes. Why are red shoes so significant a symbol? In the classic 1948 film The Red Shoes, a pair of, you guessed it, red shoes helped the lead character become a prima ballerina. The film was based on a tale by Hans Christian Andersen, in which a girl buys red shoes fit for a princess and ends up dancing her way to a foot amputation. It's a pretty grim story. Julie Stein wrote a musical called The Red Shoes. Big flop. People don't want to go to a Broadway show and see a woman have her feet cut off. Our cultural obsession with red shoes has a scientific basis. Psychology, how color affects us. Red means stop, danger, don't go there. And here's Foundation.app, which our Russian friend, I believe, has mentioned in the past. Interesting find, cultural shoes from Gordon. We'll look at that in a minute. This is an NFT that you can purchase. And it's red. And you can't really read it, but it says this color of red. It has the Pantone color. It's an NFT, and that's all it is the color red. Minted a year ago. And you can buy it right now for 20. And as Gordon taught us, 20 Ethereum is $1 million US. 20 F. $60,000 to own a red square. Okay. I guess it's about money. We also get this. Apple, as you know, uses red to represent the AIDS pandemic, epidemic. Not just that, but they sell in support of getting rid of this terrible plague called AIDS. They sell things that are red. And it's a brand, and it's RED in parentheses. So that's a wonderful thing, very powerful. Not really about money or success. This is about saving lives. In New York City many years ago, a friend of mine, a producer, Sam Crothers, every year would have a thing called the Red Ball, which had sort of a double meaning because it was a charity ball to raise money to fight AIDS. And it's a beautiful color red. It's a dark blue red, not an orangey red. So it's my color red. And they have apple faces on your watch. The Atlantic, here we go. How we swallowed the red pill whole. And that's based on the Matrix. Red pill, blue pill. Part of our culture. Who knew? I have no idea. This is the link from Gordon. Dorothy's stolen ruby slippers from the Wizard of Oz found by the FBI after 13 years. Somebody probably wore them to work so they could say, look at me, I'm successful, I have money, I have red shoes. No, not the red shoes. Ew, who do you think you are? A pair of Dorothy's ruby red slippers, stolen from a Minnesota museum 13 years ago, were displayed by the FBI on Tuesday after the agency announced it had recovered the sequin shoes during a sting operation over the summer. Not only were these slippers stolen, but fans' memories of a lot of Americans were stolen back in 2005. We hope to give back these memories. And there they are, the ruby red slippers. And there were like 5 or 6 pair. And I guess there were 2 that were worn in the movies, and somehow they count the sequins and where they're located, so they know exactly which pair of slippers are the ones that were worn in the movie and the others that were just backups. But the backups are just as valuable as the originals, so it's all okay. And here's more. There are the slippers. Amazing stuff. The person who ran off with the shoes after Shaw lent them to the museum smashed the window on an emergency exit door before hauling them away. And I don't know, what did they do with the red shoes? Because you really can't sell them for any big amount of money because they're very recognizable. The author of the Ruby Slippers of Oz says the shoes are valued in the millions. The last pair of shoes to sell at a private auction went for $2 million. The Ruby Slippers are the holy grail of all Hollywood memorabilia. Shaw said his insurance company now owns the shoes after they were stolen after paying out a sum of $800,000. However, Shaw said he gets first dibs on buying them back. Well, that's good. It's a wonderful story. So you have to be careful. You think you're wearing new vegan red shoes to just have fun. You're not trying to make a fashion statement. You're not making a cultural statement. You're not making a financial statement. And then people around you build a fence around you and they point at your shoes. Who do you think you are to wear those shoes here? And it's confusing and very bizarre. But she's not giving in to the cultural pressure. She continues to wear her red shoes. Well, it's May the 4th. May the 4th be with you for the rest of the day. It's been a delightful show. I thank you so much for joining us. We have a new friend who joined us, old friend Gordon, and a new enemy and an ally. It's people. People. So until tomorrow at 9 a.m., I wish you a good day, a happy nap, and a lovely time. If you have any questions or comments, you can email me, david@boles.tv. You can find me on Facebook, BOLES, on Twitter, @DavidBoles. Super follows available. On Instagram, we are Boles Books. On TikTok, Boles TV. And if you're interested in joining our Discord server as our friend, our new friend, Igba1 attests with the shocked eyes. You can find Igba1 on our Discord server. Always there having fun. Always available. Talk about NFT art. There is our Discord server. There is our friend Igba. And of course, Gordon, thank you for having us. Always my pleasure. Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. And always delightful to have Gordon with us, helping us with our math homework. Always there to double check and triple check to make sure what we are saying is true and factual, even when it's not. So may you have joy and delight returning to your soul when ye shall awaken. So until tomorrow, I will see you soon. Be well, and let me know what you're thinking. I'll see you tomorrow.